So Yankee come to Trinidad. They got all the young girls going mad. Young girls say they treat them nice. Make Trinidad like paradise. Drink around like Coca-Cola. Go down Point Cumana. Both mother and daughter working for the Yankee dollar.
Pieguy, it's week 3 of the CFL. We had a little bit of a bounce back week last week. Not a bad showing, but the games last week were very interesting to see. Obviously, one of those games we predicted it fairly well in terms of at least the outcome of the game, not so much the score, but the outcome of the game had us looking good. But I thought I'd let me put us here on the stage. This was our week last week. Obviously, the show best bet. We won it there with a plus 3-5 with Winnipeg. They cover that spread, no problem. Wish we teased the money line a bit more. But
Yeah.
obviously that game had some interesting situations happen. Obviously Brady with the injury, and then Rourke also with a knock. What were your takes on the start of week 2 and sort of how it progressed?
Well, it turns out running backs don't matter because Brady got hurt and it didn't matter. And Winnipeg ran the ball down their throat. Brady's very good, obviously, and you want him in there. But the other guy, like the second guy, is usually just as good, if not better, are pretty close, anyways, to the first running back. And he, Matthew Peterson, is that his name?
Yeah,
I think so. Matthew Peters, that sounds right. Peterson, anyways, he ran the ball well. The BC offensive line again got smashed. Rourke got hurt. I mean, I don't know. It's the same story since the shutdown year during the pandemic. BC, good quarterback, good receivers, good D line, pretty good secondary. Offensive line stinks. Or not stinks, but they're subpar anyways. And they're the glaring weakness. And look what happened again. Now, they had no offense in the first half. That under should have one pass, and then it ends. Rourke makes a play and ends up in the end zone. And it's like,
the first half under, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, the first half under should have been. And even then,
9 seconds left.
Yeah, there were 9 seconds left, and they scored. And if they kicked the field goal, it would have cashed. It would have been 24. It would have landed 24. So you either would have pushed or cash, depending on when you got the number. We had 25. I had 25 flat, so it would have been, we deserved the first half. Even the full game under, I mean, it was only 6 points over the total, and it looked like it was going to be a blowout. But you take that one touchdown away, anyways, But then, of course, in the last game, we won it by a Rouge, but there were some missed kicks in that game. That game probably should have been higher scoring than
Hamilton
it was.
Yeah. That one made me sweat a little bit too. Thank you for popping that Rouge at the end. But oh man.
Yeah. In terms of the other games,
Montreal was a guarantee, right?
I was free money. I didn't even watch I wasn't even worried. I was out. It's not that I wouldn't have watched it, but I mean, I look at the score. I'm like, what's it like? I would have been shocked if I saw Ottawa was up. It was an absolute blowout. I know we have money line up here. That's what I bet. But I told you on the show, I said 3.5. Just lay it. I mean, they got killed. There's no contest. And Ottawa again, penalty trouble. Lead the league in penalties already. Way more penalties than anyone else already. Bob Dice is on the hot seat. Bob Dice special.
I wanted to just do.
It was a complete disaster. Lewis didn't even get his touchdown. That's how much of a disaster it was. But
he didn't get any. He got no looks towards the end. But I did want to touch on the Toronto Calgary game. Obviously, Toronto was looking lost at sea here. without Kelly or without a proper QB guiding the team there. A lot of injuries, obviously, with the team. And we'll talk about that in a bit. But I did want to just highlight that they have been dropping on the CFL futures in terms of odds to win the division, and maybe this one I'll bring up here: odds to win the Grey Cup. That honor now belongs to the Alouettes, rightly so. And then the Rough Riders have jumped up there. We got the Rough Riders at the early start of the season at plus 700. So I'm quite happy to see that number continue to drop because it means we were on the right side of things. Surprisingly, here Calgary has jumped quite a bit from where they started. Edmonton, jury's still out there, but Calgary's on 2 wins on the season. Our under is a little might sweat a bit here.
Yeah, I don't like it if we'll get to that game, but if Drew Brown doesn't play, it looks trouble. So I didn't expect them to win in Toronto. Toronto was awful. They look awful.
They didn't look great.
They look bad.
Yeah.
That offense is
not just Toronto. East teams in general, aside from Montreal, have been terrible.
Well,
at least against the spread and severely against the spread. I don't think any of them outside of Montreal has hit, actually, if I'm looking at
Hamilton, I don't know if you could have got a 5.5 last week at open.
At open, yes.
Yeah, maybe there was. But Hamilton hasn't been awful. This is the Hamilton start, the usual.
Yeah.
But they looked okay, I thought, against Saskatchewan. Ottawa has, the jury's out on Ottawa. I think if they lose this week and fire their coach, maybe they'll be bet on. But I'm not writing Ottawa off just yet.
Bob Dice.
I don't know. I'm not writing Ottawa off just yet. Same thing with Hamilton hasn't played a division game yet. They've lost to 2 West teams, which they do every year at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
So again, even the Ticats aren't out of it. And then the Argos, Chad Kelly's going to come back. We saw what happened last year. But again, they started better last year, even without him. So
yeah, they just were winning a couple of games. Yeah,
I'm worried if I'm an Argos fan. I'm not, but I'm worried if I would want.
I echo your worrisome, and I am an Argos fan, but I'll explain why I'm a little worried there. But let's jump into the Thursday game here. We got the Alouettes and the Elks. The line started last week at 3.5. It's moved past a full 6 across most books. Again, Edmonton's only really has the one game against BC, which they didn't look awfully terrible in, especially towards the end.
It was
kind of picking it up.
Yeah, I thought it was a typical Elking a little bit. They had the lead at halftime, and then some special teams miscues, and the game got out of hand.
Yeah, and this game here, obviously from the injury report, it looks like Edmonton is fairly healthy. It doesn't look like anyone is really on the do not play kind of list here.
Well, Arkell Smith, our boy Arkell Smith is questionable. You don't want to underestimate him. And he's been pretty good, so shout out Arkell Smith.
And then on Montreal's side, they haven't really lost that. I mean, Archibald might be a little bit of a hinder for them, and Morgan as just your little. Well, Morgan not so much. You got Evans doing the short now, but they're fairly healthy. They put up, credit where credit's due. Davis Alexander 6-0. He is 2 wins away from tying a CFL record, I believe, or is it 10-0? I believe it's 8-0. At least tying Bo Levi Mitchell for best start of a QB in the CFL. I believe Bo went 8-0 with Calgary to start his career.
I think is he 6-0 or 7-0?
He's 6-0 right now. He's
6-0 right now.
Yeah, okay. He's 6-0. And he's utilizing his receivers a lot more than in the previous season. Both Mack and Sneed last game had over 100 yards. and they still have other options, Spiker and Philpott. This team is loaded all around, but I don't know how much I believe it's the team versus other teams they face just fucking up. The Argos had a terrible first game against Montreal, and then Ottawa. I'm sorry, but Schiltz cannot throw a ball.
He was
Montreal
horrible.
was stuffing and pick sixing where they could all time, all day. They were catching everything there. Credit to Montreal. They did definitely put on pressure on Schiltz, and Ottawa was playing doo-doo butter with that O-line. But what's your thoughts on this game? Are you excited about it? Is it a one-sided affair?
Oh, I'm excited. Haven't you heard the news? Guess who's in the lineup? Stevie Scott III is in the lineup for the Alouettes.
He's gonna run.
But the rookie Tice is out.
He looked great.
And I know, we say running backs don't matter. I mean, Deshaun Thomas-Erlington was fine the first game, but he's been a tie catcher. He has one good game every few. You know what I mean? And then, so Tice being out, they're gonna need Scott III to play well here, I think. But this is, this is pure overreaction. What is this number? This is 6.5 on the road on a short week against the team off a bye. This is the same thing we saw last week in the Winnipeg BC game where BC's laying 3. Winnipeg hadn't played a game yet. BC's laying 3 because they beat the Elks at home, and it was Snoop Dogg and 50,000 people in the building. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, Montreal, like you said, Montreal beat Toronto. Toronto's looked like the worst team in the CFL by a mile right now. Toronto looks bad in their current form. And then they looked worse week 1 than they did against Calgary. The defense looked a little better against Calgary. And then Edmonton's played one game, and they didn't look all that bad. I mean, it wasn't a great showing, but again, we talked about this. New coach, a bunch of new players. We said Edmonton's going to take some time. Now, they've had the bye week. They've had a game. I don't know if they win. I bet the money line, then I cashed it out right away after I bet it. So, but I did 6.5. Yeah, that's too many points. I don't really want to bet against Davis Alexander. Like my CFL, the guy who follows the CFL at work, like, you can't bet against Davis Alexander. You don't bet against that guy. So, and he's probably right. I don't really want to bet against him. He's really, really good. The defense is really, really good. But there's too many points on the road. Montreal wins this game by 3 points, 4 points. I wouldn't be shocked. But 6.5. I mean, I know the Elks' home record is not very good, but this is short weeks, 6 days versus team off bye.
Road. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Edmonton.
My thing here, I'm on the same board here. 6 plus 6.5 for me as well. I'm gonna go with history here. The last 4 meetings between these teams have been decided by the last 3 minutes of a game.
Yeah.
All right. This I mean, okay, sure. If we lose this game because they toss a touchdown at the end, well, they'd have to actually convert the kick too, for us to lose by 7. But this game, the for me, it's just, this is people looking at these books. It started 3.5. I think that's where it should have been. I think the books started
3.5 was fine.
And then people just started hammering Montreal. So
you
got to go the other way.
It's 3 points. And what has Montreal done? They beat Nick Arbuckle and Matt Schiltz. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, come on. I mean, and they're Grey Cup favorites all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. If Drew Brown's in that game last week, this number is not 6.5.
Drew Brown maybe.
So, yeah, like, if Chad Kelly's in week 1, is his line 6.5? I don't know. But Trey Ford's here. Cody Fajardo's here. You know what I mean? You're going to play a real quarterback this week.
Yeah. You got Cody. You got Cody, who's going to be able to definitely give a little bit of intel as well. They had the whole week and a half to prep for this game too. Home opener, they're expecting an okay crowd, not it doesn't sound like it's going to be a sellout or anything like that. At what is it now? Play Alberta Field, something like that. uh,
Yeah,
um, but
and
yeah, go.
I think what happened yesterday in the NHL probably gets they get more attendance on
Ooh,
Thursday.
yes. I wonder if the Elks become that city's sort of saving grace for the next couple of weeks. I mean, obviously bittersweet to the Oiler fans. Um, Look, Florida is just an absolute unit of a team. It just they are. I mean, coming from us, we're Leaf fans. We saw what it was, and everyone's like, you guys suck, shit. No, man, Florida is just a unit of a team in the playoffs. You've seen it firsthand, manhandled everybody they faced.
Yeah, I'm past that, but
Yeah,
um
yeah. Oh, come
the
on. Held McDavid to a goal, held Matthews to a goal, held Kucherov to a goal. You're talking about the top three goal scorers in the last few seasons.
and they're very good. They're
They're
very
doing
good, the
something
Florida
right.
Panthers. I'm wearing the Florida shirt, so
There you
they're very they're very good, the Florida Panthers. So yeah, overreaction for me. I'm taking Edmonton. The values there, double E plus 6.5. I'm going to stay away from the money line. I'm being
Don't tease
disciplined.
yourself.
We're
Yeah.
not going to. I think they could win the game, but I really think I should, like, if I'm going to do that, I should just put more on the 6.5 because I feel like this game is close late.
Yeah. So you got this at a unit?
Yeah,
One
one
for
unit
this
plus
one?
6.5,
Let's go. All right, let's jump
and
to
the
this game.
total nothing on the total.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching totals this week. Maybe one game, and I'll tell you why. Here's this game. This one is also started off at 1.5. But that was I guess decided when it wasn't sure if Kelly was going to play or not. Dinwiddie came out after the Calgary game, pretty much confirmed Kelly ain't playing this game. Pretty much decided this week he ain't playing. He said the ball's Arbuckle still. He's not jumping to the rookie and Horn. He's not going into Dogie. He's just going to continue to play Arbuckle. Arbuckle's his guy. But man, this injury report, what is it? 7 starters out.
It's awful.
Oof. No one to catch a ball. No running backs. They brought back Kevin Brown. I don't know why they let go of him in the preseason. Brought him back.
Yeah, and they also will go with somebody else who's going to be on the other side here. But two.
Yeah, and then you got Saskatchewan, who sort of you saw a little bit of resurgency from AJ last week. It was one of his best games in a Rough Rider uniform. I wonder how much pressure that was from just having Carey behind him, a guy who can take carries from him. I think it's just get 2 big boys in your backfield. If you need a catch or throw to one of them, both those teams are designed that way. But the jury's still out on those 2 running backs on whether they were their system running backs and they were more of the system of the Argos for their success versus the success of the Rough Riders. But to me, like, Saskatchewan's looking great. Harris is looking fantastic. He looks like he's got all the time he needs. Obviously, they're out MLS again. But
yeah, that's not great. He was really good in week 1, but they have other guys.
Yeah.
I know Bain's still out too, but
yeah, they did struggle a little bit to toss the ball against Hamilton, which is why they relied on more on the running game. But against Hamilton, you can. And here, Toronto, credit where it's due. Last week, their defense played probably the best part of that whole game. And they kept Calgary off the score sheet in the first quarter. They minimized a lot of the runs, not the QB runs. I mean, Vernon is very versatile, to be fair. Harris isn't going to be running like Vernon did last week. But they kept Mills to, I think it was under 50 yards or something like that. So they're not going to really let AJ and Carey kind of run house, although they might have some motivation to beat their old team, Mace included. What's your thoughts on this one? +3, +140 for money line for Toronto. minus 165 for Saskatchewan, and the total is at 48.5.
So I bet the Argos the first 2 weeks they've looked awful. So the Sharps like the 0-2 teams at home week 3, especially in the NFL, because that's where they they just keep their season alive kind of thing here. This isn't the NFL though, and I think that's why this line is still 3. Because I've been looking all week for any sort of reason to bet the Argonauts here. And this just seems like the Montreal Ottawa game all over again. Where, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Lost at sea.
Or like, you read the media, they're talking about next week and Chad Kelly coming back. They're not interested here. I mean, maybe they're interested, but McManus is out. The offensive line is hurt. Running backs are out. I mean, okay, Kevin Brown's fine. He's probably just as good as McMahon or whatever he's being called
That's
now.
right. Yeah.
And Kadeem Care, and Saskatchewan doesn't have any reason you say, oh, Saskatchewan's 2-0, Argos are 0-2, Argos are gonna really want to get this one. Saskatchewan maybe overlooking. I couldn't find anywhere, but you told me they were staying in Ontario this week. Is that true?
Yeah. It doesn't seem like through their socials that they flew back home.
Well, so that's a big positive in my opinion. Whether or not that would be this looks like the free space like last week where it was Montreal. Yeah, that's Saskatchewan -3. I mean, what? Why am I betting it? The Argos looked horrible 2 weeks in a row against worst. Okay, Montreal might be good, but Calgary's definitely worse than Saskatchewan. Okay, Saskatchewan's back to back on the road, but I mean, if they stayed in Ontario, that's a good thing. And Saskatchewan, remember they only won by 5. But there were Lahar was 2 for 5, and usually has a good bounce back.
Struggled a bit, yeah.
So the kicking struggles. You could say Emil Cizelle, maybe that's the reason. Look, Toronto, but Toronto's injury report's way worse.
Terrible.
Yeah, this looks like a free space. And if the Oilers had won yesterday, and then there'd be maybe like 300 people at BMO on Friday, then I would have liked Sketch even more. But maybe they'll get a little bit of a better crowd.
It's pride. Yeah, I mean, it'll be a decent crowd.
It's pride. And it is the Riders.
The fans are gonna have fun.
There's gonna be Rider fans there. The Rider fans in Ontario. That's who will be in the building. But yeah, I mean, this just seems like don't think too hard here. Saskatchewan's the better team. Saskatchewan's playing well. Trevor Harris still healthy. They got a few injury concerns, but so Toronto has much better. And Toronto's talking Dinwiddie's talking about next week already. That's a bet against quote, right? Immediately.
Your coach is already thinking of Kelly's debut game. Look, it's the East is pretty much 0-2, right? You got Montreal. There's still a second team that makes the playoffs in the East. Everyone is 0-2. There's no pressure because let's be frank, Ticats are on a bye, and Ottawa could lose their game too. There could be 0-3s. And no problems.
And then
wide open.
And Toronto plays next Sunday. Finally, the CFL is going to have a Sunday game. I'm waiting for this, but so they have what is that? 9 days off. So I would expect Kelly to be back, and they're looking at that. And Ottawa's defense is horrid. We'll talk about in a minute, but yeah, they're looking at who cares if we lose to Saskatchewan? Hamilton lost to Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan might beat everybody in the division. We'll worry about them in November if we see them. If you might see Winnipeg again. Give me the Riders minus. It's just too cheap. I mean, they're begging. Okay, it opened 1.5. Maybe they thought, okay, Kelly might play, but I mean, now you see the injury report. Kelly's not playing. McManus isn't playing. It seems too easy. I'm worried it's a trap, but I'm taking the Riders.
No, it ain't no trap. When you have 7 starters out in the CFL, it ain't no trap. I'll tell you this. There is a special bet available on Sports Interaction. I mean, it's under the special options there.
Okay.
It's plus 120 for the Rough Riders to win both halves. God,
The
there's no way
worry about that is that if it's like 28-0 or something.
what? So you think the Riders don't win the second half in that?
Yeah. Like if it's like a
Gas off,
blowout,
and
yeah.
then the Rough Riders lose 1-0
It's
in the second
not
half.
bad, but I've seen these. I've seen these done in hockey. Or not hockey, soccer, and like you bet Bayern Munich to win both halves, and it's the second half's 1-1 after it's 4-0 in the
It's a
first.
tie,
Like, yeah. So
well, it's available out there, but I'm just saying it might be something people might want to maybe consider. But I am full board on
the Argos might pack it in, so maybe it is a good bet. Like I wouldn't be shocked if they pack it in if the Riders get it. Maybe this is a double up spot. Maybe you play first half full game. Though Toronto did look okay on defense in the first half. That's why I'd rather just play the full game.
They looked fine. I mean,
yeah,
they can't score. They have yet to score.
That's it's under or nothing. I'm not rushing to bet any unders anymore in the CFL, but Toronto's 2-0 to the under.
Yeah,
the only team, and Saskatchewan isn't exactly running up the scoreboard. But if Lothar makes his kicks, it's I'm not taking it under. I'm staying away from these unders.
Like the Calgary Toronto game still ended. I think it landed at 45.
It landed 48.
48. Okay, so not even far. Yeah. Okay, so this game could land. Same.
But that total was 50.5, and Calgary's way more of an over team than Saskatchewan.
Yeah. There was some pulling teeth there. I mean, Argos were still within shot in the last 3 minutes, but they just I saw this team. They can't. Arbuckle's not it. He's just not him.
Yeah, Arbuckle.
Maybe in the playoffs, this guy's a different player. And that exists in different worlds. But yeah, the injuries. Listen, if Saskatchewan blows this,
it's not the end of the world
to bet against them next week.
Well, no, like I said, the Sharps are keeping this at 3 because it's the 0-2 team at home. But I don't know if it's the same in the CFL as is the NFL, and the rest of the division's also 0-2, except for Montreal, who you've already beat in Montreal in the playoffs last year.
Hey, it is what it is. Let's go to another team. The Argos beat in the playoffs last year. Ottawa versus Calgary. You mentioned at the start of the show you're not sure if Drew Brown is QBing or not. He's still limited. It sounds like right now it's Masoli's ball. He's been doing most of the first reps.
No, Crum.
Oh, Crum is taking it. That's right.
Crum is taking first reps. Schultz isn't playing. Bob Dice has seen enough of Schultz.
I'm thinking BC.
BC,
yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. So they have Crum actually taking.
It's Crum. Crum has. It would be Crum if Brown doesn't play. It's not going to be Schultz. They've seen enough. And we said last week it was the free space. Like, the Schultz ain't Drew Brown.
He was so bad. I watched that game. I was trying to see if there was any spark with that Ottawa team, and sure enough, Bob Dice special. They lead the league in penalties, as you mentioned. I think they got 24. It was 12 or maybe 23. It was 12 and then 11 penalties. They're mostly preventable penalties, so they're just
bad coaching.
It's just bad coaching. Terrible.
I mean, there's McCarthy on the Cowboys. That team had a lot of penalties, but it was more it was the beatable ones, but his play calling was better than Bob or whoever's calling the plays here. Rick Campbell hasn't helped. I'm not betting. Newsflash: don't bet Ottawa if Drew Brown's not starting. We've already said this last week. This is it's Calgary or nothing if it is not Drew Brown, but we don't know. But what I do know is the Ottawa secondary still is horrid. It's the Montreal wore down they tried to run the ball in the first half, and the D line stopped them. You don't run against the Red Blacks; just throw on them. But eventually the D line wore down, and they were able to run the football at the end of the game with Tice. So they did end up sticking to the run. The problem here is that maybe the Ottawa D line gets pressure, but VA is going to escape. We've seen this now a couple weeks in a row. You've seen this for a long time. No, the Bagleton is out. I don't know how long he's out, but he's out for this game.
He's already at least six games. It might be the whole season. It sounded like a pretty bad injury. It's very unfortunate. I mean, it happened on the first snap too. Sounds like he just tore muscle off bone.
So many injury news this week. I forgot to see his Peter Godberg back.
A lot of little injuries there. Obviously, Calgary's also out their snapper. I think he jammed his finger. Is it a finger?
The long snapper,
or his knee.
Center?
The long snapper, Crawford.
Oh, okay,
the Canadian guy. So they got to bring in a global guy, I believe, to take that spot.
Godberg's on the 6th game, So it's and Malden has the limited with the knee. Now he's probably gonna play, but
I think so. My only concern with Calgary is there's been a very large reliance on Vernon Adams, and this man is one injury away from this team being completely nothing. I think right now the offense.
Yeah, it's the same team. I mean, except Ottawa's the better D line. I mean, without Drew Brown, Ottawa looks like hogwash, and then Calgary would look the same. But VA has more mobility, and he's able to protect himself a little better. Philpott was really good last week.
Philpott, I do want to talk about him because obviously there's some props that we can sprinkle here and there. He looked to be favored pretty much once Reggie was down. This was Philpott's game. He stepped up. He was catching unreal balls up in the sky. I think he's given Vernon a little bit of extra confidence that there's, hey, if I toss a little bit further, there's a guy who's just athletic freak who can just pop it up and catch it, just similar to his bro in Montreal. It might be a Philpott breakout season. We talk about most outstanding Canadians that might appear or emerge occasionally. Yes, Brady has handled most of the past awards the last few seasons, but let's not hide it. There's a lot of Canadian receiving talent out in the CFL right now. That's top of the line with the Philpotts. You got McInnes, and you got even this young guy. He came in for one snap towards the end. Alfred, the number 1 pick. He looked pretty good too.
On Calgary?
On Calgary, yeah. I would not be surprised if midway through the season, this guy's number 2 option. Once he's got everything up to speed. He looked fantastic on the field against the Argos.
Yeah, I mean, but everybody's looked fantastic on the field against the Argos so far this season.
I would too. Yes,
the
refs too.
Exactly. I mean, I don't believe in Calgary, so I'm not betting them here. But I mean, if Drew Brown plays, I might bet Ottawa, maybe. But I don't know if I could do that. Defense is so bad. What I do like here, forget about who's playing quarterback for Ottawa. I like the Calgary team total over 25.5. Ottawa's given up 39 and 30. Yep. So what did they give week 1? Over, it was 37 or something they've been giving up points in bunches. Calgary's been scoring. They've scored 29 and I think they scored 37 against Hamilton. So they've been scoring. Yeah. They're at home. I do worry that they might not be able to run, but even then, if Ottawa plays well and forces Calgary to pass, that's even better in my opinion.
I think so too.
Yeah, the one concern is if it is Crum, do they try not the Strebler approach saw last week, but the traditional Strebler approach where they run the ball
slow it down
40 times. Yeah,
the Argos attempted to do that.
Yeah. Even that 26 isn't that in a CFL game against this Ottawa defense Yeah, I like that quite a bit. The Calgary team total over. I'm still not betting Calgary to win any football games, but I will consider team total over. And if Drew Brown plays, I'll probably bet the over. I like the
that.
full. Calgary can't get pressure, so their pressure hasn't been great. The defense has been better, but like they didn't sack Bo. Did they sack Arbuckle last week? I didn't look at that.
They got one. Yeah.
One. Okay, they have one sack in 2 games.
Yeah.
And against, two off. Okay, Hamilton's a good offensive line. But against 2 teams who are 0-2, they have 1 sack. You know what I mean? So
Ottawa's allowed a lot of sacks.
I know Ottawa's allowed a lot of sacks. I'm just saying that outside of Ormalade, like who's coming? You know what I mean? Like it's a bunch of guys. They're playing good defensively because they're making their opponent, like they're making plays, they're making tackles, and they're getting enough pressure. But I think if Brown does play, he's scoring. So we saw what happened last year where Calgary had a big lead and blew it with Masoli. I don't want to pick a side, because I can't bet on Ottawa. Like I don't really want to take Calgary either. So I'm just going to take the team total. Yeah, team total, and I will add the over if it is Drew Brown. It doesn't go up too much. If it is Brown, and we can get I don't know, but I'd probably take it up to 51.5. I think we get 52 here. If it is Brown,
Brown will probably drop it 2 points. We'll add 2 points.
Yeah, I know. I'll consider it. I'll post on Instagram if I add the total. I added the bow yards at the last minute last week. And I meant to post and I forgot.
And it
got there. So whatever.
Of course, garbage time bow, man.
Yeah, I know. Because I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, okay, either they're gonna be in it and he's gonna be throwing the ball, or they're gonna be down and he's gonna be throwing the ball. Because I didn't see them running away against Saskatchewan.
Yeah, somehow the Rough Riders still let the Ticats stay within, and obviously the missed kicks led to that.
Yeah, the missed kicks was big. Yeah. But yeah, points for Calgary. If Brown plays, points for Ottawa too.
I like it. Let's jump to the last game. It's also Saturday, the evening game. This time it's the reverse, and almost the reverse on everything. Lines, money lines, total. Winnipeg obviously showed up in their home opener. Everyone was expecting a Strevler game. He had a little bit of a Kolaros game, surprisingly. And BC just looked like they were playing catch up the whole time. Just the whole time playing catch up, this BC team. Their injury report doesn't look the greatest either. Will Nathan play? I don't know. It's a core injury, so it sounds like he's aching a bit right there in the midsection. Which if you're a quarterback, you need to launch it. He looked like he couldn't even finish. He couldn't finish the game last week, right? It seemed like he was.
No, Masoli came in, but the game was. I mean, they could have come back, but it was how he was hurt. He was hurt. Yeah. He didn't finish. Yeah. I don't think he's playing. I wouldn't play him. Why would you? He hasn't beat Winnipeg yet. You're gonna make him beat him with the bad, And these core injuries, they could be
stay with you the whole season too.
Yeah,
you never know.
And you have Masoli, who's capable. It's this isn't Schultz or Dogie back there. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's right. Masoli can play. I think the biggest win here for Winnipeg fans, if you love betting Winnipeg, is Winnipeg did not look a shell less with Brady out of the lineup. They actually look like, okay, hey, Brady's gone. Our best player is gone. We're going to step up. The guy, what was his name? Peterson?
Peterson.
Yeah, he comes in. He comes in and he does what he was told to do. They played well. I mean, Mike O'Shea knows how to coach. Probably still is the best coach in the CFL. He was prepared for this game. Obviously, they had the extra week to prepare to. But here's Winnipeg in this interesting scenario where, okay, Saskatchewan likely goes 3-0 in their division. If Winnipeg wins this one, that's it. They don't face BC the rest of the season.
No, they
Get your
play them
two-
one more time, I think.
Do they get
don't
one more? No, I don't think so. I
Oh,
think
is
they only
that
get them
it?
twice this year. Yeah.
I thought
I
there
think the
was.
Lions. I'll double check right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna double. Maybe that
I'm
is
looking,
it.
I'm looking.
Oh, you're right. Wow, I
That's
thought there
it.
was a third one. Yeah.
This is it. This is the season series. And Winnipeg could easily put it away. Puts BC in this weird position where we talked about it in our first show of this season, where the Lions' schedule can get really rough, real quick.
Yeah,
And
if
here
they
it
didn't
is.
win week 1. Yeah.
And here
But
it
they did
is,
win
right?
week 1, so they have the
They
one
did.
win.
Yeah, but I mean, you got the Rough Riders next week if you're a Lions fan. You're going to Saskatchewan, actually.
Yeah.
So how much of this game do you punt?
Well,
Get ready for that game if Rourke isn't playing this one.
I mean, I don't think it can. It doesn't look good for the Lions. I mean, it's Winnipeg's the bet. I mean, I don't. It's Winnipeg -3. They were too cheap last week. It was the best bet last week.
Yeah.
I get it. Winnipeg's road record hasn't been as good, but and we saw what Arbuckle did to them in the Grey Cup. So maybe Missouli is fine, but this BC offensive line got eaten alive again. They couldn't really run the ball. They had no offense. They couldn't run the ball. They couldn't throw the ball. And Rourke did what he could, but I don't know, nobody's open. They took away Hatcher. He got a couple of balls that they gave him McInnes underneath a couple of times, but I mean, their offense was completely blanketed. And I don't know, is Buck Pierce now? He had 10 days to make adjustments here. Can he make adjustments? Because his offense got wet blanketed last week. The second half. Did they score a touchdown? I can't remember. They scored one late, and I think they got one more in the second half. But that was it. I mean, it was, and they were fortunate to get the amount of points they did in that game. Like Winnipeg Stevens was all over them. They couldn't stop Chris Strevler through the air.
I know.
And it's just Dembski. It's Dembski and a bunch of guys that was learning their names last week. Wheat something. Wheatfall, I think his name was. He was really good.
I loved him, man. He looked fantastic.
Yeah, they got
spot on my team this week.
he was very good. But you see that when you have the backup coming in, they tend to find the third, the lower echelon guys. The guys they practice with, right? Like the guys lower on the deeper into the depth chart. Now losing Brady hurts. I'm not too concerned. I mean, I'm looking at this game as like, it's square. It's like the Saskatchewan bet, but I mean, I don't really like to be loading up on road favorites, but I mean, the matchup has been the same result
all the time.
Yeah, BC gets cooked.
Last time they went to BC, they shut out BC. It was like
I think that was a home game. I think they lost the last time they went to BC, or maybe they.
Let me double check here.
They lost the first game to BC last year.
Let me see. The books here. There are some books that still have 2.5, and then there's books offering plus money at 3.5.
Yeah, I just take 3 at whatever -110 or whatever it is. I'm not. Like BC is a good team, but they can't stop this Winnipeg defense has their number. Maybe we see adjustments, but I'm not betting on that. What I saw last week was that Winnipeg is going to kill them again. I would be shocked. I know, you can't. It's a different game, but it's only been 9 days. It's a brand new head coach for BC, and he got absolutely like smoke screen and your best player. If you throw Rourke in there, he might be done for the season the way the offensive line is playing.
Oh, they'll get to him. It was 2011 Winnipeg. They beat
on the
they won
third.
both games last year. Yeah. Or
Okay,
the
okay.
third game, the first game against them.
The BC whooped them, I think.
No, no. It looks like no. They only played 2 times last year as well. No,
Okay.
no,
I'm
no, no,
thinking
no.
of the year.
BC won. 2016.
Yeah, BC whooped them the
In
first time. I think
Winnipeg.
I
In
remember.
Winnipeg.
Oh, it was in
And
Winnipeg. Oh, yes, there's 2 in Winnipeg, and then
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
So,
Yeah, so BC hasn't won a home game. You know what? And this isn't going to be 50,000 fans of Snoop Dogg. It'll probably be,
no,
29.
it doesn't even look like the upper bowl is open for this one.
Yeah,
So
so.
you'll probably
And if
get
Rourke's not
over 20,
playing, sorry?
even less. Yeah, you're probably gonna get 20 or even less if Rourke isn't playing.
Yeah, so 20, yeah, it's the home isn't there. Now Winnipeg next week is on a short week at Edmonton. So
Mhm. That one's at
that's
8.5.
Yes, I am aware. I might bet that now, just in case one of these teams looks good. I wonder who.
If Edmonton
Yeah,
wins,
because I mean, I'm telling you right now, if Edmonton wins outright on Thursday, it's not going to be 8.5. With the other team on the short week, but that's all. Yeah, I'm just betting Winnipeg again. Why not? I mean, it was too easy last week. It feels too easy. Like this, if it's not Rourke, like I know Masoli and I know the Arbuckle, what happened in the Grey Cup and Winnipeg's road record. So there is concerns here. This isn't a walk in the park. And
it's not a guarantee for sure.
No. But I mean, I know it's recency, but I watched that game and it was dumb. I'm like, why didn't I put more on the Bombers? And I put quite a bit on the Bombers. But it just like BC just looks like they don't have the answers. Like they didn't have any answers the whole game for Strevin. Now it's Collaros too. So I mean, you say, okay, the defense might be the same, so maybe you can figure out how to beat them a little bit better. But now it's Collaros, so you're going to get an upgraded passer.
Yeah.
They know it's Peterson, but I mean, like, does that matter? They couldn't stop the run at all on defense. So, and if you sell out to the run here, Collaros is going to cook you through the air. So, Strevler cooked you through the air. Yeah, give me the Bombers. It's BC ain't it this year. Not against Winnipeg. There'll be spots. Week 1 was a good spot, but yeah, I think BC's in tough the next couple of games here. So I'll take the Bombers.
Yeah,
as long as it's too cheap.
Yeah, I think the momentum. A lot of people were blinded by the game against Edmonton. Listen, Edmonton's still figuring out who they are. They might still even be figuring out who they are this game. But Winnipeg knows who they are, and they showed you what that was last week. I think it continues.
And like you said, this will be after the Riders Argos game.
Yep.
And if the Riders are favored in that game, so if the Riders win that game, in fact, maybe that's maybe we had a little money line parlay. Go super squares, Riders, Bombers. I don't hate it.
Ooh,
I don't hate it. I mean, it's as I'm telling you right now, whoever has home in that Western final is going to be like a 3.5 point favorite.
Is going to the Grey Cup too.
Likely going to the Grey Cup. I mean, anything could happen, but I'm telling you right now, if Winnipeg has to go to Saskatchewan, it's a big difference than what we've seen last year.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And right now it looks like those are the two teams destined in the West. Okay, yes, Calgary fans, I know you're 2-0. Calm down.
Yeah, of course, it's the leaders.
You might even be 3-0 at the top of the West again.
They've been the mighty Week 1 Ticats and the whatever the Argos are right now.
Defeated, lost at sea, Argonauts. Okay, so I do have the bets for this show up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Montreal Edmonton at 6.5, full unit there. Betting Edmonton. I did not put that there. Let me put that right there so people know.
That's Edmonton plus 6.5.
Edmonton plus 6.5. There you go. The Argos Rough Riders game, we have the Rough Riders -3. We also have a full unit there. For the Calgary game, not a big fan of the spread. Not a big fan of either team winning it outright. It does look like a pick 'em. It probably is. If Brown's in, it's probably favoring Ottawa. But we do think Calgary can hit that team total 25.5. We put a full unit on that. And if Brown plays, likely going to play a unit on the over. Assuming
maybe
the
not.
over
I
doesn't
don't know
go.
about full units, but we'll see what the number.
Assuming,
the
yeah,
number
it's
is.
not if it stays at 50,
I'll have
probably.
something.
Yeah,
I'll
if
have
it goes
something.
up to 52, 53, probably not gonna play that. And then the last game, we're gonna continue on the Blue Bomber trend here. We think the number is still favoring the Bombers. From what we saw last week, if Rourke is in, maybe this might be a little closer. If Rourke is not in,
Well, I actually think if Rourke is in, it's worse for BC.
Ooh.
I think
Oh,
it's
you
worse
don't
for
think he's
BC.
ready?
I think with Soli you have a better chance. It's Rourke. The Winnipeg's in his head. He hasn't beaten them. He's hurt. You know what I mean? He's gonna. It's not behind that whole like get the guy who can move a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
get a guy who has experience, doesn't have a chip on his shoulder. Hey, it might actually, yeah, you're right. It might benefit. I mean, will that be how Buck Pierce thinks? I don't think so. He's
Well, I don't know. I don't like I said. I'm not a fan of. I didn't like the signing. I think Edmonton signed the right guy. I think Ottawa should have got rid of their coach, and then I think, but they didn't, and I think BC. I didn't like Buck Pierce. The Winnipeg offense looked way better week 2 with him gone. So you know what I mean.
Maybe they got rid of that dead weight. Yeah.
Yeah. So the best bet. The best bets are 2-0, so there's a little bit of pressure. But I going in, I was gonna. I was just play Winnipeg again. Why not? But I kind of worried about this. If it's Missouli and Winnipeg on the road, it lands 3 or they win by 1 or something stupid. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go with the no-brainer. Toronto suck. The Argos suck. Now I know we suck on Friday nights, but we hit one last Friday, so maybe it's done. I'm gonna go with the Friday night. It looks like another free space. So Saskatchewan -3 is the best bet because the Argos suck, and not just because I'm a Ticats fan. I like to say it. They look horrid.
Listen. They're lost at sea. It's temporary. They're gonna find their compass, and they're gonna be back on track.
Man, I tell you right now. If Ottawa wins this week, and then Toronto loses, maybe we get back on the boat next week. But we'll see. We'll see what Toronto.
You know it's gonna be. It's when they, when the Ticats waltz back into BMO. That's gonna be the bet. That might be the first win for one of those two teams. Who knows?
And I don't want to I don't want to bet against Davis as a best bet, so it's not Edmonton, and Calgary ain't no best bet worthy, not yet, anyways. So Saskatchewan it is.
Keep it easy. Let's go. We're gonna go 3-0 here. 3-0. Putting in the karma and all that stuff in.
We'll see. Anything can happen. It's sports, but we're moving in the right direction. Last week was good, and it was positive for me, anyway. So hopefully,
same here. Yeah. What I like is we stayed away from the totals. The totals have been coming very close. I mean, we won one by half a point, and we lost one by a few more than half a point, but it was in the last 9 seconds. So these little bittersweet changes here. I'm leaning towards that the CFL is a very over league right now.
Yeah,
well,
so it looked, but it was 2-2 again last week.
It was 2-2.
2 overs, 2 unders. So I think. Wait, hold on. What was the? Oh no, it might have been 3-1. It was 3-1
I
because
have
of
it
the
right.
Rouge. But it depends.
Yeah.
It depends. The closing number was an under. And then I said we got to beat the. If you want those Hamilton overs, you got to get them quick
You had it.
because
Yeah, that's right. They do change. All right,
Yeah.
Mike. Pieguy, we are at our hour mark. We might actually be ahead of schedule. We do got a busy day at work tomorrow, so we're gonna end it here, folks. I'm gonna polish off the last bit of my
well,
marquee.
mine's finished.
Oh,
So.
lucky you. I've been nursing it the whole game, but we got the show best bet here. We're trying to go 3-0. If you've been tailing, let us know on our socials. If anything changes, we'll post on X. We'll let you know. Until then, enjoy more CFL. It's another 3 weeks. Hey man, if you're on Instagram, there's this guy who eats a lemon every day until every CFL team loses or wins a game. So might be a while if he's tailing the Argos for a bit.
So who does he need? He needs Hamilton, Ottawa, Edmonton, and Toronto.
Toronto, yeah, he's got 4 teams,
Yeah, and
and
Toronto.
Hamilton
He's got
doesn't
14
play until next week, so he's
next
got to be
week.
eating a
Yes,
lemon
he's
only
it's Otto
all
on a
week.
Hamilton bye week. Now the Ticats. So who do the Ticats play next week?
The Ticats face they get Montreal,
Oh,
so they
great!
might not win it.
Lovely, yeah,
Uh,
fantastic.
all right, man. Until then, peace.
Later.